Hello YouTube, it's the Janky Commander here. Today we'll be going over one of my new favorite commander decks, Seton Krosan Protector. For 3 green mana, you get a legendary Centaur Druid with the activated ability of tap an untapped Druid you control, add a green mana to your mana pool. Now this card can tap himself and other Druids that just came into the battlefield for a green mana. It's very combo based. So let's get into the deck. For lands, we have Jungle Basin. You have to send an untapped forest to your hand when you play it, otherwise it gets sacrificed, but you get 1 and a green. So it's kind of like a mono green bounce land. Then we have Slippery Karst, a cycling land. Tranquil Thicket, another cycling land. Oran Reef, the Vastwood. Now there are ways to untap lands in this deck, so that second ability will be coming into play, tapping to put a 1/1 counter on each green creature that entered the battlefield this turn, so keep that in mind. We have Llanowar Reborn, just a fun little land to make one creature that enters the battlefield 1 toughness, 1 power bigger by putting a 1/1 counter on it. And of course, what mono green deck can't be played without Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx. Now this, you pay 2 mana and you choose a color. Of course, in this you're only going to choose green. You add a number of mana to your mana pool equal to your devotion. That's the number of green symbols in the casting cost of cards. This card is the best land, and when you get spells that can search it out, this is what you want to be searching for first target. Then the rest of our land, 27 basic forests. That is the whole land base. Now, on to creatures. We have 10 non-druid creatures, but they all help us combo or help us draw into the combo. 2 of the cards that draw us into the combo, Soul of the Harvest, which whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield, you may draw a card, so helps us draw a card, and Primordial Sage. They do this one is whenever you play a creature spell, you may draw a card. So whenever a creature enters the battlefield, draw a card. The next cards help us combo. Temur Sabertooth, pay 2, return another creature to its owner's hand. If you do, it gains indestructible until end of turn. This, with Seton, if we can repeatedly bounce creatures, gives us value. Next we have Yeva, Nature's Herald, a way to flash out creatures. At least our green creatures. Very useful when you can play most of your creatures at the end of your opponent's turn. Seedborn Muse, untap all permanents you control during each player's untap step. So combos with Yeva to kind of give you a profit accrue fix. Next we have Prowling Serpapard. Can't be countered. Creature spells you control cannot be countered. Good way to protect a lot of our cards. Vizier of the Menagerie lets us play the top card of our library if it's a creature card, and we can look at the top card anytime. Very good way to, if we get run out of Druids, to play cards off the top. Reclamation Sage, destroy artifact or enchantment. That's just in there to help deal with pesky enchantments. Fauna Shaman, help us discard a card to help us find the key piece we need at the time. If it's a creature, to go find our creatures. One of those creatures is Regal Force. This card, oh boy, it's such a good card. When you play it, you draw, or when it enters, you draw a card for each green creature you control. So, very good way to refill your hand. Now on to the Druids themselves. We have Jorga Tree Speaker. You can level it up. When it hits levels 1 to 4, it taps to add 2 green mana, which is very good. Level 5 and above, it has all elves you control add double green to your mana pool. So this effect does not go with Seton, but because the creature gains it, not Seton can then tap for double. But this is very good because we run a lot of elves. Next we have Priest of Titania, tap to add a green for each elf in play. Now if you play against another elf deck, that counts their elves in play too. Werewood Channeler, this adds X mana of any color to your mana pool, where X is the number of elves. Kind of the same thing as Priest, but a little more expensive CMC. Elvish Archdruid, a lord for our elves, also gives us a green for each elf we control. Morrowind the Nurturer gives whenever another elf enters, put a 1/1 counter. Makes her very big, but then we add an amount of green mana to her power. So she starts off tapping for 1, then 2, and gets bigger and bigger. Next we have Incubation Druid. Now it starts off tapping for 1 mana of any color a land we control could produce, but then if we put a 1/1 counter on it with the adaptability, well, we adapt 3, but whenever it has a 1/1 counter, it can add 3 mana of that color instead. So it can tap for 3 green mana if it has a 1/1 counter. Llanowar Druid, sack, untap all forests. That does not untap just our forest, that untaps our opponent's forests too. Keep that in mind. Heart Warden, way to tap for mana and draw a card. Arbor Elf, untaps forests. Elvish Pioneer can come in on turn 1 and give us 2 mana. And then the rest of the deck will be covered in part 2.